All right, welcome to Matt Talks Media. I am here with my co-host and colleague Steven Doughty, and we are going to be talking about horror movies because it is 31 for 31 time. If you don't know what 31 for 31 is, it's simply just watching a horror movie every single day in October. So, Steven, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us that sweet elevator pitch that we love to do as, college professors.
Well, you said it all. I'm your colleague and co-host, and that's it. That's the entire breadth and depth of my work. No, of course, I'm here with you at Southwestern Oklahoma State University, where we both work together in the Creative Media and Visual Arts Department. And my research and my work is around media technology and how it interfaces with agency and society. So
That's a lot of words for I'm a nerd.
a lot of words from a nerd.
But yeah, that's great. This is the first time you're on Matt Talks Media, and I'm happy to have you. I already know the answer to this, but our ravenous listeners, if there are any, probably don't know. Are you a fan of horror movies?
Absolutely not. I don't. I've spent most of my time in media spaces avoiding them, making sure that I don't have to watch them. I would say that in my life, I've seen as many films as I could muster up the coins from the couch to go see, and the only ones I've ever walked out of are horror films.
So, is there like a horror film that you like?
I think Cabin in the Woods is pretty good. I really enjoyed watching that whenever that came out. 2012, something like that.
That sounds right.
And there's a soft spot in my heart for maybe Evil Dead, but I don't know if that technically counts as a horror film. It's got sort of horror themes.
Funny enough, when the Raimi brothers put that movie together, this is like the Evil Dead trivia that I know. It was absolutely meant to be scary, horrifying, but like if you look at it through today's lens, it's campy and funny.
Right.
But like at the time, it was supposed to be like scary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, it's especially when you start getting to the first two Evil Deads I can see being kind of scary because it's possession and like evil haunted house in the woods. But Evil Dead 3 is like a straight up comedy to me.
Right. And maybe that's the one I've seen.
Oh yeah, that's the one where he goes back in time and there's it's the Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is like comedy, but everything else not so much. But I bring this up just to see, so we know Steven is not a horror expert per se. He's not and funny enough, I don't think I am either. I'm not a huge horror movie buff before deciding to get into this 31 for 31 challenge. But I will say, there was one day I was walking up. I will say there was one time I was walking up to my apartment. Steven lives underneath my apartment. And I saw him watching The Walking Dead through his window. Not that I was being creepy or anything. So I know you said you're not a fan of horror, but how are you enjoying the Walking Dead experience?
So you're doing 31 for 31. And, at first when you told me that, I thought, is there 31 days in October? And are we sure about that? And then I realized, maybe I need to go back to grade school. But yeah, I've been watching The Walking Dead at behest of my partner. She's a big fan. And I would say the first couple seasons are fine. I don't like a lot of glorp. A lot of slashy goo. I don't like seeing a lot of goo fall out of people's faces. I don't like scary things jumping out of the shadows and making more goo appear. It's not really my bag of tricks. But the story's really good. It's solid. The pacing is keeps you entertained without making you annoyed that there's like a cliffhanger. But we're binge watchers, like a lot of people are these days. And I think we're coming up on the end of season 4.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
So we're, I think, averaging 2 or 3 episodes a night, whether or not I'm fully watching all of them or, doing something in the background. And it's gotten a little creepier. And I even said this to my girlfriend. I said, hey, does it get creepier? Like, can we skip this? I don't need, like, the creepy stuff. Let's go back to turning walking sticks into stabby stabs or whatever they called them.
Yeah, I think the main reason for that happening is season 1 had an entirely different director, and then they switched directors from then on out. So season
Right.
1 has much different vibes.
The zombie logic changes completely.
Yeah, I
And it-
remember seeing like in the. I mean, there's no spoilers at this point; it's been around forever. And when they're in Atlanta, you see like a zombie like using a rock. And it's
Yeah.
like hitting the window.
Yeah.
That ceases to exist.
They
past-
stop using tools. And then there's some ambiguity around, like, can they smell? Can they see? Can you hide from them? Do they find you because they smell you? And it seems all over the place. Like, you can conveniently sort of like sneak by them if you need to. Other times, if you're just in the same room, they come after you. But I think ultimately, you got to ignore that part. You got to focus on the narrative.
Yeah.
The narrative, Matthew. The narrative.
The story is important, right? If you were in the Walking Dead universe, do you think you would survive to die of old age rather than being eaten alive?
Absolutely. 100%. I am fully prepared for any apocalypse.
Okay.
We're talking zombos. We're talking something else that's dangerous, like
Cannibals, maybe?
Cannibals, zombos.
Yeah.
A ghost apocalypse. You don't see the ghost apocalypse genre too often. Where, well, I mean, that's Ghostbusters, and I would survive that, no problem. I have no doubt. You give me some whittling wood, I'll get you some apocalypse weapons.
There's even a space apocalypse ghost style movie. I think it's what is that movie called? It's like Mars, where there's like
Mars Attacks.
No, not Mars Attacks.
See, that's probably my third favorite horror film.
That I mean, I don't know if we would survive that. Those aliens technology, but yeah, there's like ghosts. They go to Mars, and there's like ghosts on Mars, and they're like killing people left and right. But yeah, Ghost Apocalypse movie. I think we're like missing out. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is what. Did you see the newest Ghostbusters?
No, is that the one with the all female like leads?
No, there's been 2 since then.
Oh, okay. I'm way behind on my Ghostbusters.
Paul Rudd is in them.
Paul Rudd is a Ghostbuster.
Ants-Mans. So he is in them, and I haven't seen the newest one, Frozen Waste. It came out last year or the year before. But the one before that is fine. It's just a lot of nostalgia. And they kind of miss the whole, like, the point is that it's a group of men who kind of have these sort of disgraced jobs.
Yeah.
But I don't know, whatever.
The only thing I remember about recent Ghostbusters is like how mad people were about the all-female cast version of Ghostbusters. And I never sat down to watch it. I don't know if it was any good or not, but it did annoy me that was the argument against that movie. Oh, it's like they replaced the men with a bunch of women. I'm not going to watch it because of that. I honestly haven't. I've only seen the classic Ghostbuster movies, like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They are classics, and I like them. I guess speaking on films before we launch into our first little musical break, I know you don't like horror movies, but what does a horror movie have to do to get you like hooked into watching the film?
You know, I like I said, I keep saying I don't like horror movies, and it's mostly I don't like jump scares and I don't like gore. I feel like it's cheap, and they get me. They get everyone. People are like, "Oh, it didn't scare me." I'm like, "Yeah, it did. That's the whole point of it. That's why it exists." I do like psychological thrillers. I went and watched Vertigo not too long ago, which I guess isn't a horror film per se, but I couldn't actually finish the end of the movie because it was so tense. I was like, "Oh, this is." I like looked up the ending. I was like, "All right, I get it," and like I bounced. But if it has like strong psychological elements, then I'll typically be pulled into it. But the moment it starts saying, "Here's a ghost that jumps out of a broom closet and bewitches you," then I become uninterested pretty quickly.
Ooh!
And the movie that I walked out of that I mentioned before was Hostel.
Oh, I hate that movie.
I'm like, this is a bad movie. I'm having a bad time. I spilled some of my popcorn.
That's terrible.
My date wasn't there.
I wouldn't want to eat popcorn and watch that movie, to be honest. Like, eat food. It's like, I call that like torture porn almost. It's very graphic. And
I like pulled an eyeball out in a bathroom stall, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this.
No. I'm on that same line as you in terms of what I don't like about horror. I haven't released the episode yet, but I talked about like the science of fear and jump scaring is part of that, and you'll learn about that a little bit more later. But I don't know. I think you're right about the gore and the jump scares being, I don't know, they're kind of staples in the horror genre, and which is unfortunate because I think you can have a really good narrative horror story. It doesn't have to be filled with blood and guts for it to be good. And I'm more of a psychological horror fan. Like I've watched Midsummer already, and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
great. I loved it. A24, I hyped them up in that episode where I talked about the Science of Fear. A24 is doing great things, and it's not a lot of their movies aren't super gory. A lot of them have really good narrative, and I think that's important for any storytelling. Where us as humans, we're kind of hooked on narrative. That's what digs into our brains and keeps us watching. And if you hate what you're watching and you spill your popcorn and you see people being disemboweled and stuff like that,
Right.
it's not that fun. So we're going to take a quick musical break. As always, I find all of this music on Bandcamp. So go support the artist. Even if they're giving their music away for free, try to donate them some money because that's the right thing to do. So this song is called Cult of the Fading Sun by Veil. All right, that was Cult of the Fading Sun by the band Veil. So what we're going to get into next is talking about my 31 for 31 experience. So I have 8 movies that I've watched from October 1st until today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some of the hard facts about each one. So like the director, when it came out, runtime, that kind of information. And then I'm going to talk about my thoughts about the movie, and Steven will interject when he feels like interjecting.
Well, first things first, are you okay?
I am horrored out already, and we're in week 1. But I will say a lot of my like second half movies are more on that like psychological
Sure.
track, and I think I'm going to enjoy it a little bit more.
Well, because the whole point of a movie, of any piece of entertainment, is to rustle your jimmies.
Yeah,
and that's an academic term.
It's supposed to make you think, right?
So I just want to make sure you're not over rustling your gems.
I'm so chafed.
Well, that's going to happen. So I watched 0 of the movies. You gave me the list. I said, I'm going to watch none of these.
Fair enough.
And then I asked you a few days later, I said, how about you give me that list again? So I can watch 0 of the movies. So let's, but I did watch a little bit of something. And I'll let you know when it comes up what its connection was to it. But let me hear about the movies.
All right, so I think what will be interesting to do is talk about the movie, and then based on my thoughts, I'm going to ask you if you would watch this film. So,
all right,
we're going to talk about the movie VHS first.
Okay,
you all right there, buddy?
No, I was just laughing. Like I think I know the answer, but let's get into it.
All right, so this is VHS. It came out in 2012 from the United States. So it is an anthology-style movie. It has multiple directors. So each little VHS segment in the movie has its own director. It premiered at Screamfest in October of 2012. It's a theatrical festival-run type of movie production. It's 116 minutes long for those of you who are keeping count. And it was pretty, positively accepted amongst horror fans. Praised for creative segments, also criticized for an unevenness. I found some fun facts. The framing device, the tape wraparound, is used to connect disparate segments. So what that really means is there's like a live happening, like there's a story, there's a narrative, and then whenever it switches in between like the different VHS segments, it uses that like VHS wraparound image on the screen to like let you know that you're watching something else.
What do you mean?
So when you are
like a Be Kind rewind situation?
Yeah, kind of like it cuts to like what I would assume is fake like video fuzz.
That does sound horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time you pressed rewind on a VHS tape?
Oh man, probably that Rugrats movie that came out in the orange case. I cannot remember like which one it was, but that's the last VHS.
Here's the thing about the way you answered that question is, yeah, that movie is a little dated, but you didn't say when. When did you rewind the Rugrats tape, Dr. Door. And if it was yesterday, that's fine because you're being a good steward
Yeah,
for the next Rugrats watcher.
I don't.
But that does sound horrifying, watching you in your apartment alone, plugging in an orange tape, listening to the mechanical whirs and wheels.
Yeah, I was. Oh, must have been in
Tommy
elementary
and I will
school.
be together.
Tommy Pickles, you're mine. Yeah, that's one of the last VHS tapes I remember owning. So I went with that one because it's iconic. There wasn't very many orange VHS
For
tapes.
me, it would have been the second VHS tape in the Titanic box set collection.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I rewound that one a lot.
Oh, yeah. Was it because of the sex scene?
Don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So they use like what you might consider like if anybody remembers VHS tapes, like when you put one in, sometimes it would have that like distortion on the screen real quick and it would like fuzz. So they use that to kind of differentiate, like we started a VHS tape in this story and now we're switching into another VHS tape. So it cuts in between like what's happening in real time in the story and like these different like dudes watching VHS tapes, because I didn't want to go over all the plot summary because we would be talking about this for like 100 years.
So is it like a play within a play?
Yes, exactly. So these guys are looking for this mysterious tape to sell because it's worth a lot of money. And they break into this person's home. It's an old guy. He ends up being dead on the couch. But there's like hundreds of VHS tapes. So they're like plugging in VHS tapes to find it. And on each VHS tape, something like really creepy and horrific is on it. So it uses that weird, tape wraparound to let you know that you're watching like another tape that they've plugged in. So in terms of, my thoughts about this film, they did a good job painting the main characters. So like the live action part, they did a good job painting them as shitty people. So one of the first things you see in the film is them sexually assaulting a woman. So these guys are into filming stuff and like selling the films for money. So they see this woman walking in a parking garage and they like lift her shirt to film her breasts to sell that tape. So the tape is like a reoccurring theme in VHS because it's called VHS. It's a found footage style film and it's very prominent, like with that fuzz and distortion. And I like found footage style like horrors. I think they're kind of interesting. Each segment again is filmed by a different director, so you get a little taste of different directors' work. What I liked about it, so some of the specific VHS segments, the surprise death in the road trip. The surprise death in the road trip segment. I think I mentioned this to you in person one time, where this man and this woman are on a road trip together. They're a couple. You don't really see much, bad stuff happening. You think they have a healthy relationship. He's sleeping in his bed, and all of a sudden you see a hand just jab a knife into his throat while he's sleeping. And he immediately wakes up, and it's like,
how much goo we talking?
Oh, it's it's the amount of goo that would happen if you were to stab somebody in the jugular.
Right.
It's
too much.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
soft pass.
It makes me fearful because I couldn't imagine being asleep. You're in your most vulnerable state, and then all of a sudden, you are basically dead because you get stabbed there, you bleed out in less than a minute, I think. But you're sleeping, and then all of a sudden, that happens, and you don't even have enough time to think about what happened.
You got an older brother, right?
I've got 2 older brothers,
and they've never just walked into your room while you're sleeping, and just popped you right in the face.
No, not that I remember. I don't. They definitely didn't stab me in the throat.
I'm not saying I was ever stabbed, but I think that maybe with an older sibling, you can get a little sense of that feeling. Here you are, resting, quiet, Thursday afternoon. You just finished your AP English homework. Maybe I'll take a little nap while The Simpsons plays in the background, right? And then, bam, right in the nose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my brothers tormented me when I was young, so
that's what these horror films are like to me.
Yeah.
It's like being tormented.
It's like getting a noogie.
In suburbia.
Getting a noogie from your older brother. Aren't you the eldest?
No.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I have 3 older brothers.
Oh, dang. That's why you turned out the way you did.
Broken?
Yeah, a little bit. I guess I enjoyed they had a Skype-style segment, which I think in 2012 is unique. I don't think there was many films that documented what would be a Skype call between 2 people. I know Host came out during COVID, and that's a horror movie entirely based on Skype. or Zoom. I think it was Zoom. But I think that's kind of interesting.
I mean, that's the absolute end of 2012. That's the end of found footage. Like, you can't do anything like that anymore. I think there was a Grand Theft Auto, like Mount Chiliad or something is what it was called. And it was one of these sort of ARG games that existed, and that was around the same time. But like, found footage is basically like viral videos.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
this idea, like it's viral almost in the almost a biological like real sense. But once the internet became ubiquitous, at least in the West and like in these cultures, you can't. Like, I can't make the Blair Witch people thought were real. There were some people who thought the Blair Witch Project was real.
Yeah.
You wouldn't fool anyone nowadays.
I think
The speed at which I would Google, is this real?
Exactly. And I think these style of movies are kind of like trying to pay homage to that.
Right. Like, the only one that comes to mind that I've actually seen was Paranormal Activity.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yeah,
that's sort of like a found footage style.
Yeah, because I think it uses like security
security cameras or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a good example of this. And funny enough, you said viral. So there are a lot of VHS movies. There are several on my watch list, and I don't think this one is on there. But there is a VHS viral in the series, and it's based on like viral
videos,
viral
videos,
viruses. I mean, judging by what I've seen in VHS, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a virus thing in there. I will say there's some things I didn't like. There was a slasher like part of the movie. It was very cliche. I will say though that from the the first maybe first person point of view, you do see the person holding the video camera, like the slasher picks up the camera and beats them with it. And that's like the last scene.
Like breaking the fourth wall a little bit.
Exactly. So like they grab the camera and like you just see like smash, 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 and you see the person's face getting all bloody and like I don't know if that counts as breaking the fourth wall or not. Maybe it does because like the VHS is like the medium of the movie.
So now it's recognizing that the VHS is inside of the bigger story.
I think so. You might consider it that way.
I don't know. That sounds either really annoying because it like destroys all the world building, or maybe interesting twist. I guess it depends on how it's executed.
I honestly think you wouldn't mind the VHS series if you were to just turn your face away when the gore happens. Because
I do that.
Yeah, I do that as well. I'm not going to lie to you.
Cover my eyes. I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I think just the creativity of the VHS movies, like I said, it's individual directors. I think it's interesting. So instead of stars, I thought it's spooky season. I'm going to give skulls instead of skulls. So I gave this movie a 3.5 skull out of 5.
Out of 5?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
What do you consider an average movie to be out of 5, though?
Average movie out of 5. That's a hard thing to quantify. I would say like if I watched it and I'm like I'm never going to watch this again or whatever, maybe like a 3 out of 5.
3 is like, all right, cool, I saw it.
Yeah, anything less than 3 is like I would probably never watch it again.
Because number scales are a scam.
They are
always say like, hey, out of 10. You're like, well, if it's a film, they've consistently shown that like 7 people think is average.
Yeah,
well, 7 is not the middle, so I don't understand where that's coming from. And then video games are expected to have an even higher average before they're considered successful.
Yeah, like 8 or 9.
Yeah. And then books, apparently it's fine if they're bad, I guess. And so they can have like a 5 or a 6.
I think as instructors, sometimes, I don't know, I maybe I should have done out of 10 because just the percentages as an instructor, like a 7 out of 10 is a 70%. That movie is a C.
Right.
Like it helps, like we use grades, obviously. So that kind of puts it into more perspective than some abstract number. But I would say anything less than a 3 is like,
and also
you watch it once.
Also, I think the problem is 1 out of 5 means I'm never watching that again, no matter what. Also, 5 out of 5 means I'm never watching that again, no matter what. Right?
I will say some films, even if you Shawshank Redemption, for example, I give that a 5 out of 5 every day. I have watched that movie many times.
Sure.
Some movies have rewatchability, and I mentioned that in some of my reviews, and some don't. This one, I would watch it again, but I would wait like a year or 2.
Right.
And then watch it again. I wouldn't watch this like multiple times in a month or something.
Well, I think that's why horror films are made really consistently every year, and why it's an often thing for people to get into when they first start making films, is because there's an element of surprise, and you can always make a horror film, right?
Yeah.
You always have to kind of make a new one, but you can always make a new one. Rewatch. They don't have a lot of rewatchability, right? Like if I know the jump scare is coming up, it doesn't work as well.
Exactly.
If I know the twist, it doesn't work as well. So, yeah, I would not watch that. No, I would. I would watch that.
I think you wouldn't be too harmed by watching.
I don't
that
think
one.
I think of all the styles of horror films, found footage is one of the more interesting ones to me.
Yeah.
Just because it's a fun way to create a piece of media.
I agree.
And I sort of like tricking people. Like, oh, maybe it's real. Maybe there is a real ghost. Maybe there is a real witch.
Yeah, there's one that's going to be like that coming up. Not this one, though. So let's move into Grave Encounters from 2011. This is a movie that I feel like Steven could watch and would have no problems watching. It might be considered, it is found footage, but it's more like a ghost story. So this is from the country of Canada. So we're moving away from the U.S. a little bit.
From the
from the country
foreign
of
land.
The foreign land of Canada.
French, is it French Canada or regular Canadian?
I don't know. I just wrote down Canada.
See, this is bad research.
I know. Great. So it was directed by the Vicious brothers, Colin Minahan and Stuart Ortiz.
Name.
Yeah, not their real name. It was released at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2011. I think it's interesting, the budget box office. So they only spent $120,000 putting this movie together, and it grossed over $5 million. So that's a pretty good investment, I would say.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think that's typically the case for some of these movies.
Yeah, a lot of horror movies, especially maybe not like in 2025, but a lot of earlier horror movies like had low budgets, and the ones that became super successful like did much better than anybody thought they would.
I don't know why horror films require a lower budget. I have a lot of like speculation.
I don't think they require a lower budget. I just think maybe they're harder to get
with the lower budget, right?
For example, Terrifier, which we're going to talk about in a later episode. The director did it took him a long time to film the first Terrifier because he also did all of the cosmetics and makeup, and they had a very low budget. I think it may have been $200,000, and they got a lot of money back from that. It was a very good success, but I don't know. I just think maybe it's harder to get funded for a horror movie. That could be the case. So in terms of, it had mixed reviews in terms of reception. A lot of people love the found footage aspect of it. That's praised in horror, but some critics, Lordy, here we go. But some critics decided that it was too predictable. So I will say some of the fun facts were interesting. The creators wanted to do a found footage film about ghost hunting shows, which I think is rather interesting. They asked, why hasn't anybody done this? So they did it. And Grave Encounters has actually a pretty large cult following. You can actually find this movie for free on YouTube, which I thought was interesting. So it's a ghost story that is shot in found footage style. So what that really means is, without going super in depth into plot summary, they are filming at an abandoned mental asylum, and they end up getting locked into this mental asylum by paranormal means. They can't get out. So they're in there with all their camera gear, and it's kind of shot like they're like filming what's going on. And that's why it's like found footage style. Like in the introduction of the film, it's kind of set up like a documentary almost, where the producer is like, yeah, this movie is developed by 77 minutes of unedited film or something like that. And then you see what happens.
There was a string. When was this? In 2011?
2011.
Yeah. There was like a string of those shows on like Discovery Plus.
Yeah. Me and my dad used to watch those all the time. TAPS was our favorite one.
TAPS.
I don't remember what TAPS, the acronym.
The trumpet song?
That is TAPS, but not that TAPS.
I don't remember. A bunch of guys in military uniforms luring ghosts with a. That's not it. Yeah. That's not TAPS.
I don't know what TAPS. I can't remember the TAPS song. I'm sorry. I'm not patriotic enough. But yeah, I don't remember what TAPS stood for. It's an acronym. But me and my dad would, whenever I was at home, anyways, we would sit down and like watch that show religiously. And there were some
Right.
creepy moments. It was really hard to tell sometimes whether it was true or fake. But at the same time, I think TAPS was one of the best ones because more often than not, they debunked or there was nothing.
Right.
And then only in some episodes, like there was, some sort of verified haunting. So if it was always haunted, I would more suspect that it's not
Wait,
real.
hold on. I think we may need to just clear the air here. Do you believe in ghosts?
I do.
Okay.
You know what? I think it would be irresponsible to say that there's no way a ghost could exist. I'm not that kind of scientist.
You think it would be irresponsible?
Yes, like
there's people out there that would somehow suffer if you took a strong stance against
the
ghosts.
ghost would suffer.
Well, that's
they're
true.
trying to communicate with us.
They want to be seen. I understand.
They're very marginalized.
The ghost community doesn't have access to the same resources as the corporal community, right? So,
Yeah.
Corporeal. There we go. Learn to read. Wow. All right. Okay. So you believe? I'm gonna write. I have 4 notes.
Yeah, I believe that ghosts could exist. I'm not saying
Could or do.
they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Like,
all right. Do.
But at the same time, like
exist. No. It's fine. This note is not for right now. This is for.
There's that saying that it's just science that's not been discovered yet. That quote. Maybe true.
Sir Arthur Conan O'Doyle or
Maybe.
from Thor?
From Thor, from Blank Man. You remember Blank Man? It's from Blank Man.
Yeah, I think I remember Blank Man.
With the Wayans brothers, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Ghost.
It's Ghosts.
We're in an asylum, a classic asylum.
Mm-hmm. It's
That's
very
a
spooky.
Classic setting.
Yeah, it's very classic.
Is it decrepit and run down and in ruins?
Definitely. It's graffitied and
I think it's creepier when it's not.
It would be most of it is like they're filmed through like night vision on the camera, so like you wouldn't be able to, like, if it was pristine, it wouldn't, like, I think it actually helps that it's decrepit because most of it is like night vision, like
right.
film,
Another reason why you can save money on horror films is because you can have kind of crappy shots.
Yeah, crappy shots, crappy lighting, like all that good stuff.
Creepy, dim.
So I think this show is cool. This movie is cool because it feels like a commentary on how ridiculous those ghost hunting shows are.
Hold on, they're not ridiculous.
They are.
You, in fact, and let me check my notes here, believe ghosts do exist.
But that doesn't mean that I think those shows are done in an appropriate manner. I'm trying to remember like the one with that like Zach dude that gets like,
Zach.
Yeah, it's like Zach Brown or something like that, and like he like
I think that's a country.
And maybe
star.
Zach Bryan or that's a country guy, I think.
Country.
But so there's one like very infamous Paranormal Activity show where the lead, I don't know, I just think this movie pokes fun at like how serious that the people who run those shows like act like on film. The cast, I also think it's interesting that the cast members weren't killed immediately in all cases. Like one of the cast members, like that you watch, he goes missing and then they find him and he's wearing like what are those medical, like they take your clothes off and they put you on the robe, but the back doesn't have it ties together.
Right.
They find him like that, and he's been turned into a patient and he's like lost his mind.
The ghost made him crazy.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's kind of cool. I don't know, like in 2011, if that's like a new trope or anything like that, but I do think this movie kind of pokes fun at how serious ghost hunters take themselves, because ghost hunters do take themselves very seriously.
Have you ever met a ghost hunter?
I've ghost hunted, but I've never met a ghost hunter.
Hold on, let me take another note.
Add to your notes. I got some spooky ghost stories I could tell you.
That's probably another show.
Ghost
hunts with Matt. Ghost hunts with Dr. Door. You could lean into your PhD and people would give you a TV show. They'd be like, oh,
that'd be cool.
Ghost doctor?
Yeah, I'm a doctor.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, they don't ask questions about what your PhD is about, but if you've got that doctor in front of your name,
you know what, honestly, I don't want them to. It's too hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, this whole podcast is about like my research in a way, like tying in different media cultures into what I study. But at the same time, if somebody ever asks me like, "Hey, what do you study?" It is a mouthful to try to explain it to them. So I
Yeah.
could just say ghost doctor.
Ghost Doctor.
I'm
You
ghost
should
doctor.
do that.
So for this movie, I guess the one critique that I have about it is some of the deaths weren't that interesting to me. Like one of them, the first death that you see on camera, like this guy who is a fake. What's the word? He's like a fake. I like the guy that like runs around and feels the vibes, and he's like, I feel spirits here, like that guy.
Oh,
The medium.
the message.
Yeah, the medium. The medium is the message. He gets like pulled into the air and choked for a minute, and then it drops him on the ground, and it's one of those tropes where like the ghost picks you up, and then and he tries to run away, and you just see him like fly across the room, and he's dead. That's it.
Okay.
But one of the coolest death scenes I think is like there's this tub in one of the rooms, and it just like fills with blood randomly, and like a person gets like sucked into it.
What, into the blood?
Into the blood, the bloody tub.
You know what? That sounds okay.
It was cool.
Doesn't sound too. How thick is the blood?
It's very viscous.
Very like chocolate syrup.
Yeah. Again, it's in like night vision,
Like
so
more of a splashy blood.
so it does look like a tub of chocolate milk due to the choice of night
It could
vision.
be chocolate syrup. That's what they used in the Hitchcock films.
You know what?
Chocolate syrup.
That would
mixed with
be
some water or something.
I'd hate to have to wash that off my body.
Well, she was in the shower and
Yeah, fair enough.
in Psycho, so I guess that worked out.
So for this movie, I gave it a 4 out of 5 skulls.
Oh,
I recommend it. I think it's a really good watch.
okay.
And this is one that I think would be Steven approved. I don't think there's any part of this movie that's going to make you squeam.
Well, it seems like it doesn't sound too glorpy, which,
No.
as we've clearly established, is really my
You see some,
primary
you do
issue.
see some blood, but it's like a normal level of blood. Like if you were to hit your head against the wall and like get a cut, that's
Okay.
the kind of blood you
And
see.
I kind of like the classic asylum setting, although I wish it wasn't in ruins.
Yeah, like I said, you get to see it in the beginning of the film, in the lighting. Like they do like a walkthrough where they're deciding where they're going to put cameras and stuff like that.
I'm going to write it down as a maybe.
Yeah, I think. Let me know if you do watch it. I'll ask you about it next week, and we'll see what happens. So before we move on to any more movies, let's take another quick music break. This song is called "Through the Teeth of the Machine" by the band Dawn Treader.
What a great song.
Yeah, that was a great song. That was "Through the Teeth of the Machine" by Dawn Treader.
A real banger.
It's a real banger if you're into that, like, black metal kind of stuff. And, I don't think you are, Steven, but
Nope.
but I'm
We have a
happy.
different set of aesthetics. But
We do.
We come together and we make a good team.
So they say opposites attract, and that's why I've been horny this whole episode.
I wasn't going to say it, but, now that it's out there,
It's out.
Me either.
Don't live in the closet, faithful listeners. Be yourself unconditionally, uncontrollably.
Wow.
Be a ghost hunter.
Be a ghost hunt.
Yeah, believe in ghosts. So speaking of ghosts, this one is also kind of paranormal in a sense. This one is Lake Mungo, and it came out in 2008 from Australia. So we're getting multinational here. We've talked about an American film, a Canadian film, and now an Australian one. Directed by Joel Anderson, released in 2009 on the festival circuit, which I think is really popular for horror movies. Most of them get released through some sort of film festival,
Right.
I found.
Do you have a sense if horror films persist outside of Western culture? Like, I guess there's some Japanese things, but there's
a lot of J-horror.
But those are certainly after the war, right?
Definitely. Most J-horror begins 70s and 80s.
And by the war, I mean World War II.
Yeah.
I was curious.
The war on terror. So, no. Japan and maybe some other Asian countries have like horror movies. I'm pretty sure India probably does because they're prolific in film. I don't know if there's Indian horror films per se, but I would say there's a good chance because of how much film they produce.
Yeah, I'm just curious if this is a sort of
But it's very Western.
like colonial aestheticism. Because I had access to an Iranian and Arab film library a couple years back, and of course I don't like horror films, so I wasn't looking for them, but kind of reflecting on that, I don't remember seeing any. So now I'm just curious if that sort of thing is prolific outside of these, sort of Western spaces.
Yeah, I don't have
Australia is a horror film in and of itself.
Yeah, everything there can kill you. I think it would be interesting, on a quick side note, since we're working at the same university, to get our library to invest in some like foreign film databases. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Right.
So
go ask.
So Lake Mungo. So this film is structured as a mockumentary. So it's in that found footage style. There's family interviews without diving entirely into the plot. This family's daughter goes missing in a lake. They find her body eventually, but it gets tied into this paranormal story where they keep seeing her ghostly image in pictures, and it's kind of haunted. And I think it's interesting because I couldn't tell in this movie if it was real or fake. And I think that is a terrific thing for something that's supposed to be documentary style.
You can tell if someone had died?
No, the story itself, it was presented in a very true way that documentaries are presented in. So the story I think is believable. It's just not, I guess, spoiler alert, the story is not real. But the way it's presented.
Right. Again, there's an interesting point here, which is, well, you believe that some of these things could happen.
Oh, definitely.
Or, do exist.
I think it's entirely possible for something to be
And
haunted.
I'm not taking a stance. I wouldn't dare
take
on whether or not ghosts do or do not exist. But it's just,
I'm just saying, the style in which it's filmed, it's in that documentary style, and it's not obvious that it's fake, right?
Right.
Which I think is a positive thing. I think that just shows that it has really good storytelling. I got absorbed with how real that film felt. It's surprisingly graphic, but only in moments, right? So, for example, it shows not the autopsy pictures, but the pictures they take of the dead body to identify it. It shows those. And, anybody that gets drowned, for example, the pictures don't look very pleasing. So it's surprisingly graphic and just momentary, selections. And it's super creepy. There were several times where I got goose flesh and the hair on the back of my neck went up, right? So I think that's great. The only thing I didn't like about it is, much like any other documentary, it's kind of a slow burn. It's not action packed.
Sure. That sounds kind of cool, though.
Yeah, the story unravels in a documentary style, so it's not really a crescendo kind of thing. It just kind of rolls out slowly. Some people might not like a slow burn style story, but I think it's great.
Right. Well, that sounds cool.
Yeah, this one would be. I'm 99.9% sure it's Steven approved.
I'll give it. You know what? I'll. If this is the one that you think was the most good. The most good.
It's the most good. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 skulls.
That's a lot of skulls.
I absolutely loved it. I would watch it again. Again, I wouldn't watch it a week later. I'd give it
Would
some time.
you watch it hungover on an international flight?
Yes. Yeah. It might hungover on an international flight. It might put me to sleep because it is a slow burn. But I would watch it.
Okay.
I would watch
I'm just saying that's a litmus test, right? In the most uncomfortable place that you could be, feeling the most uncomfortable you could feel, would you watch it?
Yeah, sure.
Normally, I throw on a classic Pixar film.
Yeah.
Like, here we are. We're going to Atlanta.
I think people might
watch
Wall-E.
Wall-E.
Yeah, Wall-E. I think that's probably a better choice in that situation. Mainly because I think people around you, if they saw you watching Lake Mungo on a flight, they'd be like, "What a freak!"
Right. I'm not really worried about those people, though.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the ghosts.
I'm more worried about ghosts than I am people who sit next to me on airplanes.
I think ghosts. There's more. Well, then I was about to say ghosts might be more dangerous, but we all know what happens when people get bad on an airplane.
Right. Ghosts are not more dangerous on an airplane, but off an airplane, all bets.
Yes,
are
exactly.
Also off.
So that's Lake Mungo. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna kind of quickly go over a couple of these movies that I watched, kind of give you my thoughts very quickly, and then we will call it a day. But before we do that, we're gonna take one more music break. I want to showcase one more band This is Invoke Menace by the band Fucked. All right, welcome back. That was Invoke Menace by the band Fucked. Interesting band name there.
How is it spelled?
Fucked. Like Fucked.
Oh, okay. With an F. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, my bad. If that didn't translate very well.
Hey, people spell things differently.
It was the ghost.
So Lake Mungo, sounds good.
It was very good. I loved it.
And is that your favorite of the week?
Yeah, of the week, that was my favorite. I will say, you know what? I won't say that. I will say it tied. I think it tied with the Black Phone.
Black Phone.
Yeah, have you seen the Black Phone?
I haven't seen the Black Phone, but I know that Joe Hill wrote the story for Black Phone.
That is real. Yeah, the last podcast on the left interviewed, I think the director. I don't know if that's Joel Hill or not.
No, I don't know who directed it, but the writer of the original short story, Joe Hill and Stephen King.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah, Joe Hill is Stephen King's stepson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's my one note for the show.
There you go.
He also wrote a little show called Lock and Key. It's available on Netflix. I wouldn't call it a horror film, but it's got some dark goth vibes, and it deals with the supernatural and magic. It's like Harry Potter, but for edgier kids.
Okay. So yeah, for the kids who believe in ghosts, that's going to be just a reoccurring theme now. Apparently I'm the ghost man now. But yeah, so I will say Lake Mungo and the Black Phone, I gave both of those 5 out of 5 skulls for different reasons because they're very different movies.
When did the Black Phone come out?
2024.
Okay. I feel like I heard.
Sorry, 2021. The Black Phone 2 comes out on October 17th. Which I'm super excited for it. I think
go catch it in the theaters.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Ethan Hawke plays a very good villain. I've never seen him as a villain before, but he is what they call the grabber in the Black Phone.
Villain in Black Hawk Down?
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how you feel about the military. But I don't know. There's another movie where Ethan Hawke plays a villain, but it's not Black Hawk Down. So what I'm going to do now?
I thought that was a documentary about him.
Maybe
flying a helicopter.
No, was he a helicopter guy? Must have been.
I got to be honest with you. I don't know if Ethan Hawke is in Black Hawk Down. I just assumed the name they shared something.
Here comes the
lawsuit.
Yeah, the libel lawsuit or the defamation lawsuit. All right, so what I'm going to do now, just because of time constraints, I'm going to tell you about the rest of my list. I'll check in with Steven about how he feels about my week 1 list, and then we'll call it a day. So another movie I watched was The Conjuring from 2013. So the first Conjuring movie in that series, directed by James Wan. This is a U.S. horror film. It's another ghost story. It's about Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are very prolific ghost hunters.
Oh.
I think you would like it, but it is full of jump scares. Just the one.
Conjuring?
Yeah, The Conjuring.
I've heard things about that one, and I think it's a no for me.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them. It also includes the movie like Annabelle about the haunted doll. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Overall, it's a good ghost story, so I recommend it. That's a good one. One that I think you would absolutely love is Creepshow from 1982. It's directed by George A. Romero, who's very prolific.
I mean, zombies, right?
Yeah. So there are a couple zombie call-outs in this film. So it's a found footage. I wouldn't say it's found footage. It's just like a movie shot in different segments. Like it's like kind of like an anthology or a Stephen King short story where, it's a bunch of short stories compiled together. I thought it was super fun. The only thing I didn't like about it is it doesn't have a lot of rewatchability aspect for me. Like I watched it once and I felt like I'm good. There was some shout outs to some zombies. There's the Father's Day zombie, which I thought was funny. The woman was like baking a cake for her father, but her father was like a mean old man. And so she gets upset and kills him. And then he comes back from the grave and cuts off her head and makes a cake, puts candles on her head and makes the cake.
Oh,
but yeah, so it's also in a comic book style, like the little like scenes in between the short stories.
This is like a cult hit thing. This is something
it's very cult.
This pops up every once in a while. Okay.
Yeah,
I've seen this around.
It's got a cult following, and it's very prolific. It's not underground at all. So I give this one a 3 out of 5 skulls. Again, it just didn't have a rewatchability feeling for me, but I enjoyed it when I did watch it. The next one we have is The Black Phone, which I was surprised how much I liked this movie. It came out in 2021, directed by Scott Derrickson. It features Ethan Hawke as a villain. Again, I think Ethan Hawke.
From Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, from Black Hawk Down. He's the grabber, which it was adapted from a short story by Joel Hill that you mentioned earlier.
Stephen King's stepson.
Yeah, Stephen King's stepson. So also a spooky man. Again, I gave this one a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. So it's like an abduction movie, but it's also ghostly, I don't know, ghostly. It's called The Black Phone because when the kid gets abducted, he gets put into a basement. There's a black phone that's not attached to any wires on the wall, and it rings. And he answers it, and then the ghosts of the other dead kids start talking to him.
I feel like that's not going to read with most audiences. Like anyone under the age of 30 is not used to seeing a phone with wires anyways.
And I think it's a rotary phone because I think the movie itself is like set in like the 70s or 80s or something.
Do you think that they're going to have a sequel maybe come out, I don't know, in 10 days or something?
Yeah, so there will be a sequel to this movie. It releases October 17th in theaters. It is The Black Phone 2. Which makes me interested because, I guess this, okay, so spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, skip 30 seconds. Ethan Hawke's character is, quote unquote, killed at the end of The Black Phone.
Right.
You would assume he's dead. So I'm interested to see if maybe he actually didn't die and he returns in The Black Phone 2 to continue grabbing children. But, it's one of those things where it could be even more paranormal, like something even crazier happens, or maybe another person becomes the grabber.
Right.
So next up, second to last, we have VHS 94. So I mentioned earlier when we talked about VHS that there are a bunch of VHS movies. So this one is it takes place in 1994. I can't remember what order of the series this movie is in. It came out in 2021. It's, again, another one of those anthologies. So it features like David Bruckner, Chloe Akuno, Simon Barrett. So it's a bunch of, short films compiled together. I will say this movie was interesting. I think my favorite part was Ratma, which is Ratma. So they created this cryptid in Ohio called Ratma. It's just like a rat man that lives in the sewers, like in some city in Ohio.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, I know him too. And it's funny because like he's got followers that live in the sewer with him, and like Ratma will spit this like acidic bile stuff and like convert you into a follower. And their catchphrase is "Hail Ratma," which kind of reminds me of like "Hail Hydra,"
Vaguely.
Not Heil, Hail.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I said vaguely.
Okay. So I gave this movie a 4 out of 5 skulls. I think it's recommended. I think I liked it just as much as VHS 2012. Not sure if that's going to be Steven approved. Again, the acid bile part is really funny because it's a news lady that goes into the sewers to try to find Ratma to it's a breaking story, and she gets infected by the Ratma fluid. We'll call it the Ratma fluid.
Right.
And the next day she's like on the news, like in the anchor seat, like sitting there, and she spits the acid bile on her co-anchor's face. His face melts off and he dies, and she goes, "Hail Ratma." And
all
it
right.
ends. So I think the Ratma part is great.
So the acid can either convert you into a believer or it kills you?
Apparently so. It doesn't go into any detail. It just happens, and you're like, what just happened?
Okay.
So there's no explanation of how it works. It just works. I will say this movie has an awesome ending. It ends with neo-Nazis getting owned by exploding blood. So they capture this like vampire dude, and if his blood hits sunlight, it causes like a massive explosion. So these neo-Nazis capture him, and they've been killing him every day. He comes back to life. They kill him every day and collect his blood, and they're gonna go like blow up some, whatever these neo-Nazis don't like. But they end up getting owned by the vampire in the end.
Right.
And some of them get like mutilated and killed, and some of them get blown up. So it ends by neo-Nazis getting killed, and I think that's cool.
You know what? Yeah.
So
A+.
Yeah, A+ for me. That one, just like VHS, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a good watch. So lastly, on my watch list for the first week of 31 for 31 was the movie. I guess it's called Record. It's, bracket. So I'm just going to call it Record. It was originally filmed in Spain in 2007. They did make an American version of this movie, and it was called Quarantine. So you may have heard of that one. It was directed by Juan Balaguero and Paco Plaza.
So did you watch this in Spanish?
I did watch it in Spanish.
Dubbed or subbed, baby?
Subtitled.
All right.
So I had to do some reading during my watch.
Do you think that diminishes the whole medium?
No, it did. It just
Still
made
spooky?
I couldn't multitask and watch
Right.
it. I had to really focus, which I'm a multitasking movie watcher. Usually I'll watch a movie and play a game or
Right.
something like that.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 skulls. So I guess I must have thought it was really interesting. I just thought the depictions of the characters was terrifying. So what ends up happening here is these people get trapped in this apartment building because some person kind of goes rabid. So the police and the firefighters show up. They go find this woman. She's rabid. She attacks them. And then the military comes in and like shuts down that building, and they get locked in there with the rabid people. The rabid people remind me of the rage virus from 28 Days Later, or 28 weeks later, 28 years later, same thing.
I don't mind the 28 months later. 28 days was a little much for me. 28 months I really liked.
I thought it was weeks.
Yeah, weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen years yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I was saving that one. It's on Netflix, interestingly enough. But I was saving that one as like a bonus episode if I wanted to,
Right.
if I felt like watching an additional horror movie to.
I don't think you're going to want to watch an additional film.
Probably not. But so I just like the parallel between like the rage virus and that series and this movie. It was kind of the same thing. It even had a really good jump scare. I don't mind a jump scare if it's like a really good one. So this one, so it's a reporter that's stuck in there with them. She was doing a report on like how the firefighters like do their jobs. So when they get the call, she goes with them and she gets stuck in the building too. So they're filming, she's doing her reporting, and she was interviewing this little girl, and the little girl is super cute. And then you find out that like the cause of this rabies thing was like, I guess her dog caught it, and like through the saliva of the dog licking her, like she ends up turning into one of these things.
Sure.
So the mom is like holding her, and then she goes crazy and just like rips her face off. And yeah, so it's like a jump scare with a little girl, little baby, and it caught me way off guard. Honestly, I wish it was in English because I think it would have been easier for me to watch it, but that's a me problem. It doesn't take away from how good the movie was.
Right.
But I think, it was terrifying. Also, it's another one of those movies, kind of like Grave Encounters, where there's a lot of night vision camera work.
Right.
Which I think it actually works better in this sense than it does in Grave Encounters. Like, the last scene of this film is actually prolific in the horror, world. So you see the reporter, she's, hiding. I guess maybe she dove under a bed or something. And she's got the camera facing her face. And then you just hear her scream, and you just see her get dragged away. You don't see who she gets dragged away. And you don't see who drags her. You just hear her scream and her body go.
Right.
And I think
that's a classic as well.
Yeah, that's a classic. And there's apparently 3 or 4 of these movies now. So
okay,
this is the first one.
Huh.
So that kind of concludes just the list of movies that I watched. So that kind of concludes the list of movies that I watched for my first week of 31 for 31. So how are you feeling about being a part of this journey so far, Steven?
I worry about your health.
I worry about my health too, but for much different reasons.
Well, maybe it's the same reason. I don't know.
I don't know either. We're doctors, but not that kind of doctor.
I think you're in for a journey, and I'm going to come along in my own way.
Yes.
And I will commit to watching one horror film before Halloween.
Do it. You know what? It doesn't even have to be one from my list. I mean, you have my list.
The scariest movie I've ever seen, Rain Man, featuring Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
About 100. About 100.
Yeah, that movie really messed me up.
That movie, I know why it messed you up. We've talked about this before, but I will spare the listeners this story. So tune in next week. So next episode will drop next Friday about week 2 of 31 for 31. So this is Matt Talks Media with my guest host and colleague, Steven Doughty. Thank you for joining me.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
See you guys.